coffee snails. This time I decided to go on my NK 689. I was a little anxious about driving, but the curiosity prevailed. I went out of the house and sat in the machine. I had no idea about what the most of the buttons mean. There had not been signs of them. There were only strange pictures below. The dashboard was a complete terra incognita. I put the key in the ignition and the engine started with an almost muted sound. The radio spoke an incomprehensible language. I decided to try to switch the radio station. Clicked on the button with the icon looked like the next station search. I had a pleasant female voice. Mr. Analyst, please tell us, can we consider 0 and infinity equal? This question has many answers actually. On the one hand, 0 and infinity are the different ends of the same stick. On the other, they are an essence of our universe, which is small as 0 and as infinity. 0 is infinity, having the opposite side of the true infinity. But the infinity tends to be it. Perhaps there is nothing, but if there's nothing, there is. It is a true 0. So 0 and infinity are equal. Well, today our traditional questions were answered by the research of the scientific world of understanding and anatomy of the universe. Thank you, Mr. Analyst. And now you can enjoy the music from the Hidden Stellar chorus. Clicking on the button similar to the shutdown I turned radio off. It seemed to me that all the machine control and the entire set of buttons, sensors and other elements has become intuitive. It was very similar, like driving a simple earth car. I held something between a car's and airplane's steering wheel, and there were two pedals under my feet, an accelerator and a brake pedal. I pressed the acceleration pedal and the machine climbed up sharply by about half a meter. The wheels rolled up and it slowly began to move forward. After making a couple of laps around my house, I got used to driving and flew to the hill where the coffee snails lived. I flew really slowly. There were a lot of unusual and new. It seems that everything that I saw yesterday looked different today. Flying above the trees, I saw a green house similar to a coffee set. Approaching it, I got out of my flying machine and went straight to the entrance. Everything around reminded me of a coffee service. The yard looked like a table on which some coffee cups, saucers and little spoons were scattered everywhere. Coming closer to the house, I saw that it was all plastered with photographs of cups with different coffee. All the photographs were absolutely unique and not repetitive, as if they were made by different creators. Under the canopy near the door there were different unusual coffee pots and jazzers. I knocked the door and heard a voice from behind. "You don't need to knock. We are here in the yard." I turned around and saw two snails sitting on a shimmering t-shirt and drinking coffee. "Oh, good afternoon," I said. "I did not notice you, sorry." "Sleepy creature," Snail laughed friendly. I came close to them and they began to smile, expressing their cheerful and friendly mood. Coffee snails were facing each other, holding a cup in their hands with a luminous coffee. Their smiling eyes looked at me. They were tall, about the height of my waist. One was the color of coffee with milk, and the other was of the color of coffee with a teaspoon of milk jam. Today is a holiday. Today is the day of the things glowing. So we offer you to sit on our green lawn and try some luminous coffee we invented today, said one of the snails and poured a coffee for me. With pleasure, I replied. Without any thinking, I had down on the glowing fabric, so that it was comfortable to drink coffee and talk with coffee snails. Wonderful weather is today, said one of the snails, the one of the brighter color. I fully agree with you, said she and the other snail, and looked at me. If this festival we usually drink coffee and lead a conversation about the high culture. I took a sip of glowing milky coffee with cream flour and a glowing heart on the surface. Would you like to fly over the trees? I asked the bright snail. Suddenly, the issue on which the three of us settled down began to rise slowly, and soon we were above the trees. The view was magnificent. At first my heart began to jump up and down, but then I regained my courage and said to myself, I wanted it myself. That is why I am flying. I changed my position to the sitting one. Wow, I said to myself, but coffee snails continued to enjoy their coffee and paid no attention to me. The issue slowly floated above the trees. From above, from this height, everything seemed so small and toyish. Many colors and shapes I saw for the first time. The clouds seemed to have become closer and warmer. Even lying on the back face to the space, I looked at these bizarre clouds. Suddenly, behind the large yellow cloud, the lesser one showed up. It was colorful like a rainbow. It moved straight to us. I lay down and continued to observe this rainbow cloud. Soon it came very close and there was Death sitting on it. It spoke to coffee snails. I came to you for a holiday to talk about the high culture. Welcome, said the snail, which was darker. Coffee snails poured a cup of coffee for Death. It sat between me and snails. The rainbow cloud slowly slipped away. I was lying enjoying my coffee, a warm breeze, and listened to Death's conversation with coffee snails. And I'll say this, it began. The culture and high culture are the same. Only high culture is strongly squeezed into the rigid framework of this existing being. It's inappropriate not to greet someone. Lack of culture is not to thank someone for something. I am an absolutely cultureless creature, because you have not had any greetings from me today. Culture is needed only for convenience. But for me, for example, it's much more convenient to go straight to the point without any small talk. Every creature makes a choice. If you like it, you are free to be in the system of frames and limitations. Systems are numerous, choose any. Or create your own by taking some elements from the other systems and adding your own ones. That's all I can say about the high culture. Yes, agreed, Coffee Snails. The whole universe, everything that surrounds us, it's our policy. But most of the creatures are taking someone else's rules and strictly follow them. My eyes were heavy and finally I fell asleep.